I'm sorry this had to go to a third video, but this is the conclusion, I promise, of the burglary that took place across the street from the Peterson home on, the police say it was happening on the 26th, and that's what I'm talking about. So when the Medinas come home, Susan Medina testifies in court that when they pulled in, so they get past the police barricades, there's people everywhere. She says there's police all over her front yard. They pull into their driveway, and I guess it's the scenario where you pull in and then it sounds like there's like a gate that you open and you go in and you park kind of next to or behind the house. She gets out while her husband drives the car through. So she gets out and she walks up to the police on the yard because immediately you've come home to this and you think there's something terrible that's going on at your house. And she realizes that no one's coming and going from her house, so it couldn't be her house. But she says she immediately crosses the lawn, goes over to the police and says, "What's going on?" And they explain to her what's going on. And she is standing right there, and just feet away is the damn dolly that apparently has been sitting out there, I don't know, a day, 2 days, 3 days. Police officers are 20 feet away and they're not even noticing it. They don't think it's strange. No one's paying any attention to it. No one's done anything. And again, if I'm investigating a potential homicide and a removal of a body, I don't know. How do they know that Scott didn't use his own dolly? Because at this point, they don't know it's the Medinas. How do they know that Scott didn't use a dolly to take Lacey out of the home, put her someplace, and then throw the dolly in the Medina's yard so that the police wouldn't find it at his house? Like, there's just so many unanswered questions, and I can't figure out how no one noticed it. At points, hundreds of people, news cameras everywhere. You've got bicycle cops. You've got people going door to door. You know the Medinas are out of town. So why didn't anybody think, well, then if they're out of town, why the hell is their dolly on the lawn? It's crazy. And don't even get me started about the dog in the backyard. Again, I'm a different kind of dog owner than a lot of people are. The Medinas just left out a lot of food, left their dog in the backyard, thought everything was going to be safe. But again, if the burglars came in, thank you for being considerate burglars and closing the fence so that the dog couldn't get out. But you would have thought with all of this stuff, this chaos happening in the street, you would have thought the dog would have been barking. And I would have thought, wait, isn't that family out of town? Why on earth is their dog barking? I mean, again, my spidey senses would have been, are we sure they're out of town? Or could something have happened to them inside? Has anybody been in that house to see if the Medinas are even there? Or maybe something happened to them? Like, there's just zero, I feel like there's zero police instinct. Their focus is, let's follow Scott around. Let's make Scott walk us through his house and walk us through the warehouse. Let's follow Scott and do stuff with Scott. And they're not looking at anything else because really, honestly, I don't think they cared about anything that would have happened from the 24th on because they insisted that she had died the night of the 23rd. And I really honestly believe, this is my opinion, but I really honestly believe they didn't have much care or concern about any of these other people that were saying other stuff the next day. There's just one more thing I want to add. So these burglars, they do get arrested. One of them, Stephen Todd, he was a third-time offender. And the state of California has a third strike rule. So it is Penal Code 677. It imposes an automatic 25 to life for your third strike. So meaning the third time that you commit a violent or serious felony, it's automatic. It's a 3-strike rule. This would have been his third major felony. And I know that people are thinking, well, a B&E isn't really a violent crime, but it's grand theft. The amount of what that was taken out of that house, it's absolutely a home invasion. It's absolutely grand theft. You know, God knows what they did to the dog to shut it up. Like, I don't know. But this to me is a felony. And it should have been his third strike. Stephen Todd was given 8 years and 8 months. For some reason, he was given a much lower sentence than a third-time violator should have gotten. Diane Jackson was not allowed to testify in court because even though she had already given 2 statements to police, one call-in, one in-person, and they had talked to her multiple times about this, the police went back to her and to verify the dates. It was her and one other witness that they had asked to be hypnotized, hoping that they could better clarify some dates and times. One of them was being asked to verify if Scott's truck was in the driveway early that morning. That person said they'd driven past the house and they were hypnotized to verify, like, did you see Scott's truck in the driveway? Yes or no? Diane was hypnotized to find out the date you saw the van and the 3 men and the safe. Was it really the 24th or was it the 26th? What ended up happening was that both of these people were hypnotized by somebody that the state of California does not certify as a certified hypnotist. And so both of their testimonies were thrown out. The police didn't believe Diane Jackson. They didn't believe her. And they wanted to hypnotize her to see if they could get a different story out of her, basically. And because of that, it was all ruled inadmissible. So she couldn't testify in court. So there you have it. There's the burglary. I have questions. I have more questions than I have answers. This might not seem like it's anything to do with anything. And again, I'm not insinuating that it's the burglars that did something. I know a lot of people feel that way. But I also just think the whole burglary as a whole, the dates, the time, and the punishment that he got, the witnesses, how it corroborates with the timing of all the other people that said they saw Lacey that day, it just feels to me like there's too much stuff to turn my eye against. And one more reason that if I were on this jury, I think I would have some questions. I've now moved into reasonable doubt.